So normally I play music and give people time to get in here and all of that, but tonight I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play music tonight. Tonight we're going to break down a 2004 lecture that Dr. Degruy gave. I pulled out about 30 minutes of this, and we're going to watch it together, mainly for young people, to introduce them to people who have dedicated their lives to trying to liberate the minds of Black people and break us from this mental bondage. One thing I love when I listen to some of our great orators and teachers and lecturers is when I can tell that they love Black people. Sometimes that is missing these days when we deal with this. That's missing. I love when I can tell that even if they have some criticisms of behaviors, I can tell that they love Black people. Y'all, I'm gonna have like about a minute of, silence to give people time to get in here, and we're gonna jump right into it. Okay. Give y'all a little bit of time, and then we're gonna jump right into it. So y'all take a second. We're not playing music tonight. We're gonna jump right into it here in a second. All right. Okay. I think that was about long enough. I'm straight. Got my black ready. First and foremost, shout out to you, Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. Black first, second, and third. Mad love to everybody that's here. Mad love to everybody that's going to catch this playback. Again, we're going to be listening to a lecture from Dr. Joy from 2004. And I really want this to be a focus on young folk. A lot of us grown people, we're pretty much done. So hopefully if there's a young person watching this, you'll research Dr. Joy Degruy. She's done some amazing lectures in her time and can really, really break things down. I love the way she does it. She's charismatic. She speaks well. And like I said, you can really tell she loves Black people. So we're going to jump right into this. Again, mad love to everybody that's here. Let me share the screen. Y'all let me know if y'all can see that. Y'all let me know if y'all can see that. As we're watching this, again, this is Dr. Joy from 2004. Let me know if y'all can see it. I'm going to be pausing to make some points as she's speaking. And this is something Black men and women really need to pay attention to as she goes back and analyzes some history. Nowadays, it seems like more and more people are saying that, well, if you talk about history, you're making excuses. And that's ridiculous. It's almost like these caves that are trying to have critical race theory banned or not taught in schools. We have a lot of our people are starting to sound just like these caves. If you just lean in and listen hard enough. And it's sad. I'm actually going to be doing a video I'm going to post up on my Instagram if you're not following me on Instagram, where the governor or mayor of the Cave of Florida is giving a speech where he's trying to come out against critical race theory. Of course, as a Cave, he would be doing that, and he tried to evoke Martin Luther King to do so. So we'll be possibly doing a video on that as well. But I'm going to post that up on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, that link's in the description box. We're going to get started right now. I'm going to move this mic over and get me moved over here so y'all can hear it loud and clear. Again, this is not the entire speech. I took out this section where she's talking about the black man and woman dynamic as it pertains to relationships. Let's get into it.
I want to talk specifically about the connection between that dehumanization of men and women during slavery and what it did to our relationships with one another. Black men and black women.
Can y'all hear that? Let me do a sound check real quick. Can y'all hear that? Just let me know real quick, and we're going to get right into it. Can y'all hear that? Clearly. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back. We're going to start it back over, and we're going to get into it.
I want to talk specifically about the connection between that dehumanization of men and women during slavery and what it did to our relationships with one another. Black men and black women. It's such an important subject that if we don't begin this discussion, we're going to look at the total destruction of our families. We've got to have this discussion. And what we need to know...
Yes.
What we need to know is that we both, black men and black women, fight a war when we go out there. We're both in it and we're both injured by it. But what we have to resist is a temptation to punish each other for it. Because that's what happens. That's what we do. I often talk...
Y'all hear that? We both in it together. What we end up doing is punishing each other. Y'all notice that? This is something that she's talking about in 2004. Now, of course, you can go back to the 60s and there was, you have great orators that we have that would be talking about the same thing. What happens is that we at war, but we end up taking that shit out on each other. I'll be talking about that over here. Let's continue. Watch this.
About the story of my son and the little boy that looked at him and said, "What you're looking at, what you're staring at." I talk about that story of this little boy that has so much antipathy for himself that when my son looks at him, it feels threatening to him to such a degree he wants to beat him up. And how in Africa everyone says, "I see you," as a greeting. I talk about that because I saw the disparity and I saw the injury in young boys. Yesterday, I heard a young man talk about that. He was about 14, 15 years old and talked about how he saw a young man in the street in Harlem and how just looking at this young man, he wanted to beat him up. He wanted to jump on him. And I didn't have enough time in the day to explain to him all that was going on in that young man, but I do understand.
How often do black folk mean mug each other and stuff? We can't even hardly speak to one another. This is relevant to this day. We still haven't gotten out of this mindset. Fuck you looking at, nigga. I mean, y'all, even if you do it yourself, you can be honest. Because I can say in my young day, I acted the same. What the fuck that nigga looking at? What the fuck you looking at, nigga? Just having that mentality about your own people. Now, I only say that to the motherfucking caves. This is how I know I came through my coon shit. How about you? Let's continue.
Understand what was going on in that young man. I understand why it is respect is so important for black people. Because we've never been respected. I want you to know why we created words like Madea, Big Mama, Big Daddy. Because they didn't call...
Now we know Tyler Perry's old hoe ass took Madea and transgenderized the fuck out of it. that was the term for would be the grandmothers of the community. Like she said, Big Mama. And we saw Martin Lawrence transgenderize the fuck out of that in Big Mama's House. Some of y'all saw that movie. So we've taken it and skewed it. Like we don't have real older grandmothers of the community and Black women that could have been in these roles. These men decided to put on wigs, dresses, fat suits to be these things. So you may be familiar with Medea from Tyler Perry, but actually this is something that our ancestors called each other as a form of reverence.
Bless Mr. and Sir. We created our own names to cling to a sense of nobility. Are you following? Because we had no value, you see. So we created those terms and those terminologies. And even now some people go, they're ashamed and they get nervous when they hear someone say, my dear, a Big Mama. Because I needed you to know that you were great. Because we weren't given titles. Those were only for white people, you see. So one of the things that we have to understand is what that dehumanization produced. So on a very fundamental level, we have to understand that women were subjugated on one level, men were subjugated on another. Women were subjugated to never trust their men, to only rely on the master. Now you understand, we never forgot. We knew how to protect each other. How many of you saw Sankofa, the movie? You should see.
I've never saw Sankofa the movie, but I'm going to try to find it and watch it now. Some of you may have seen Sankofa the movie, but I'm going to try to find that and watch that myself. I've never seen Sankofa the movie myself.
That. It's very good. And the discussion is important because in this movie, there is a situation that happens where there's two young slaves. A woman is about 8 months pregnant. And they don't want their baby born into slavery, so they're going to run away. Well, they're caught by the overseers. And so to make a lesson of them, they call all the slaves together and they beat her. But they don't let just anybody beat her. They ask the Black overseer to beat her. And he beats her to death. This is someone that was like his sister that he beats to death. And then the camera shot fades and you see.
Understand that even back in the slavery times, they did have Black overseers. Some of you, you had these real full blown shout out coons. Some of y'all remember we reference Steven from Django, that type of motherfucker. Okay, these people existed on these plantations and did whatever the white man and his mama wanted him to do. A lot of times.
That the woman, the medicine woman, goes in and she delivers that baby because the baby's almost term. And so she takes that baby, and the next scene she's rocking the baby.
Hold on, let me.
And
let
the
me,
man who beat the girl to death, and you know they all got to go back to living with each other.
Hold on, I'm trying to keep pausing this shit, but I want you to understand the power of our women and the power our women always had. If you listen to this in this scene, and this really happened on plantations. The Black would be what she called a medicine woman delivered that baby. Notice she didn't say doctor, nobody delivered anybody. A Black woman delivered the baby from a woman who had been beaten to death by an overseer. That's how great we've been for so long, to be able to do something like that, to be able to deliver a baby with no medical training whatsoever. Y'all be forgetting about shit like that. Let me go back a little bit because I might have. I'm gonna try. Like we're gonna get through it, y'all. But it's just so many things I want to point out because this shit's so real. Like we don't even think about that. No medical license whatsoever delivering babies.
Are you following me? We all got to go back to the field side by side after you just beat this woman to death who was my wife and my sister. And we have to reconcile that. So he comes in, the man who beat the woman to death, and he goes, the baby all right? That baby all right? And the
Can you
woman
imagine?
says, baby, gonna be all right, but you can't come around for a while, okay? You can't come around. And I imagine what happens to him, right? Because they understand that he did what he had to do because the gun was trained on him. But you still can't come around for a while. Because we got to heal from what he did. How do you do such a thing? Emasculated to the point where he beats someone to death that he loves. And then I have to look in the eyes of her parents, the people who loved her. And then to have to accept the love from them to you after having done such an act. What does it do to the human spirit? So what I started to look at is the psychology of the beatings and the rapes, because they were done very methodically. So when you take a woman out of a man's bed, that is his wife. You take him out of her bed, his bed, you take her out and you rape her. Not only do you rape her, you give her, pass her around to some of your friends and their children. And then you say to him before you leave, and she better be good or I'll beat you. I don't know that you can destroy a man any further than that. So she goes away and she comes back and she has two things she's got to do. She's got to take care of her and she's got to take care of him.
See, a lot of times, man, I don't think we fully grasp. We talk about slavery and we kind of, I know a lot of times, at least I say some people do this, focus on the cotton and, you know, some of the beatings, but this was psychological warfare happening at all times, dehumanizing happening at all times. Here you have a man who has a woman. The white man, the cave motherfucking man, will take his woman, schedule a rape. It's on the schedule. Schedule a raping. He knows if he does anything, he's going to be murdered. Full blown. So schedule a gang raping. And now you got black folk who look up to the very same people who treated them like this. How the fuck do you do that? See, that's where I worry about us. That's what my concern is. How the fuck do you look up to these people? How the fuck did they become the moral authority when they were sitting around acting like this for centuries? How? How you love them so much?
And somewhere in his mind, he might wonder, did she enjoy that? Somewhere in his mind, he might think, couldn't you have fought him off? And deep down inside, he knows she couldn't. And then she looks over at him and thinks, why couldn't you protect me?
Why didn't you
Why
do
couldn't
so?
you stop this from happening to me? And then in the second thought, she says, I don't want you to feel pain and guilt and disgust of me. And I don't want you to feel shame. So she soils herself again.
Now, understand, for some of my young people out here who may be unfamiliar with the word soils, but basically giving herself sexually to try to make this man feel better who knows that she was just raped. Can you understand the type of trauma? Can you even imagine that type of trauma that both these people, these black people, had to endure? And her job, as she explained it here, is even though she feels though, like, why didn't you protect me? She know, he know, they know what's going on. You be killed. And that fear of death allowed for this to happen. Black folks cowards still right now. That fear of being murdered all along. Just being murdered made an example out of, because they would do that in front of other slaves. Y'all know that. They would punish other slaves in front of everybody. So the fear would resonate over the entire group. Now, some of our people fought back regardless, and we don't give enough reverence to that. Can you imagine being raised in that from when you are a baby? This is normal life shit. And what she had to do. after being raped, make sure he don't feel no type of way, because she still love him. Y'all be forgetting about this shit. See, this is, I know we done got to this place now where it's just all hate, hate, hate. It's crazy. It's all hate. But look at what we had to, what we became in this situation. Look at what this black woman had to do. After being raped, she still got to take care of him. Y'all black men forgot about that.
Spoils herself again. And so what we have to understand is the psychology of that, because when they get up the next morning and they look at each other, they're not the same people anymore. And still they have to exist that way perpetually. Not to mention their children are watching. So when I started to look at the psychology of that, the rape wasn't simply for the rape. It was to make certain that she was submissive and that she knew fully he could do nothing to protect her. Hence, he was always called a boy. That's why my father couldn't handle the term boy. You know, we hear people say, well, me and my boys. My father would turn over in his grave and say, I called him a boy. Because he grew up in the South and he knew what that meant. It meant that you were continually confined to adolescence as a grown man. And so when you begin to look at the interaction, now you have 2004.
Y'all ever thought about that? Me and my homeboys, me and my boys. Y'all ever thought about that before? Because I didn't give it much thought until I sit here and listen to her say this shit. Like, damn. They was calling us boy all willy-nilly. Now, I'm not saying, of course, black people don't mean it the same way, but them, the caves, calling us boy, what that meant to try to keep us in that infantile, adolescent state of mind, to keep us weak, even though we was full-grown men. It's crazy.
You have a black man that walks into a social service office trying to get some mental health assistance. He happens to be bipolar. That means manic depressive. And he hasn't gotten his meds because he lost his job and he lost his medical coverage, and so he has no medication. So he's agitated, okay? He's upset, a little paranoid, but he's walked in here with Susie, who came from the suburbs, that got her degree fresh, who's been taught her whole life to be what? Afraid of him. Because what does he want to do to her? He wants to rape her. Now, if you all think I'm exaggerating, there's a book here called 100 Years of Lynching. If you look at the majority of the reasons why folks were lynched after the advent of slavery, it was because of a white woman. He scared her, he upset her, he startled her.
Hold on. Y'all heard that, right? Now, we know this, but still, somehow, y'all niggas will lay up in the caves. Still, somehow, this is able to still happen. What they were able to do is turn you into the rapist. You may think about films, the old school films like Birth of a Nation, not Nate Parker's version of Birth of a Nation, but the cave version of Birth of a Nation. You think about things like that. You think about Reefer Madness, that campaign they run against marijuana. And all of it led to the fact that black men were sitting out here and have dedicated their entire existence to raping cave hoes. Look at the mind fuck. We know who did the raping. For centuries, we understand who did the raping. But somehow, these sick motherfuckers was able to turn around on us. And then, even after these white hoes sit around here, these cave bitches sit around getting black men lynched, y'all can still lay up with them. That's crazy.
He looked at her menacingly. He tripped over her.
Emmett Till.
All of that could cost a black man his life. And so when we look at what has happened to our men, what must we remind each other of? And what happens to that black man that's on, he didn't have any medication, he was agitated. He about 6'9". He can't even fit in the chair, but he's trying to look smaller because he doesn't want to what? He don't want to upset or frighten her. But she is frightened, isn't she? She is frightened. So he's trying to figure out what he can do. Maybe I better not look at her directly. So I'm going to hold my head down. So in other words, I'm sick and I'm in pain, but I need to take care of you before you can take care of me. And that's what black people do 2004 with white people. White people don't understand what's going on.
Let me hold on right there for a second. Because we talk about this. We are constantly in a state of trying to make these motherfuckers feel safe. Trying to make sure that they not scared of us. Many of us will change our voice. How many of y'all can admit to doing that? I used to do it when I was younger. That's what I was taught. You got to make these motherfuckers feel as comfortable as you can. Take the bass out of your voice. That's too masculine. They associate our masculinity with the raping of their women. With us being thugs. Super predators, as y'all's Democratic homegirl in Hillary Clinton. 3 Ks on that instead of that C right there. As y'all went in droves and voted for her. This is why when y'all talk about the emasculation of the black man, it is because it is so that these motherfuckers feel safer around us. If we speak in a certain voice, they become intimidated by our masculinity. This is why they want y'all running around in dresses, painting your nails. They want you doing every single thing possible. Everything possible. Because if you got a skirt on, you know, you're not as... If you're running around acting like an over-exaggerated caricature of a black woman, I mean, they ain't really worried about you like that. This is why there's such an attack. And we acquiesce to it to make them feel safer. We're doing that constantly. Right now, I call it all Conan. Y'all know how I get down. But this is what we do. And like she alluded to earlier, and like I tell y'all all the time, our kids are watching. We shrink ourselves for these motherfuckers. And they still hate us. Let me add that in there. They still hate you, no matter what you try to do.
So after you see the emasculation of the black man, the deterioration and the soiling of the black woman, how does that move through history? Well, I told you that they gave you those images over and over again. Because after the illusion of slavery and after the black codes and convict lease, then they said something else. They said, you know what? Separate but equal. Jim Crow, segregation. Y'all gonna be treated just as nice as everybody else. It's all gonna be equal. We just want you to be separate. And we said, hallelujah, that's a great thing. And you know, we did pretty well. And we did pretty well because we had to be what? Together. We were interdependent. We couldn't go nowhere else. So now,
didn't I just talk about that? When I heard this, I said, oh my, I just gave an entire video I did. It's up on Patreon now. Or maybe I left it up on here. I don't know. You should be subscribed to me on Patreon if you're not already. The link's in the description box anyway. But I just talked. We had to be together. We didn't have no other options. We flourished in that model. We flourished in that structure. And what happened to you niggas? Right? Integration.
now we were dependent on each other. Guess what? We built beautiful towns. We had banks. We had everything we needed. We patronized one another's stores. We went to the same barbershop. We were the teachers, the doctors. We were everything.
Let's go.
And then they looked over there and they said, you know, they're prospering. We thought the trauma was over. But was the trauma over? Oh no, they burnt those towns to the ground. And very often, what was the reason why it all started? Because of a white woman.
Okay,
because somebody thought somebody did something to a white. It didn't matter. It was a Trump.
Y'all see? Now, y'all will lay in the caves these days. But understand, they didn't just burn down Black Wall Street. A lot of times we minimize that type of terrorism because we isolated to Black Wall Street. There were Black cities all over. Tulsa, Oklahoma was one place, major place. But that's not the only one. They even had some here in North Carolina. Durham, Wilmington, burned to the fucking ground. And if you do any amount of research, you'll see this. It wasn't just that Black Wall Street. We had Black Wall Streets. Understand that. And these terroristic motherfuckers, these genocidal maniacs, typically off the word of a cave hoe, talking about she done been raped or accosted, that would give them the just cause then to burn our cities down. And y'all lay up with these motherfuckers.
Charge, and it's in the minds of everyone because again, the preoccupation was always with sexuality. It's been there forever. From the moment Black men came off the boat, white men were preoccupied with their penises. That's an absolute truth.
Facts.
Absolute truth. And the reason for that had to do with a lot of things. But if you consider the lynchings, what was the first thing to get cut off? Always. And that was sold and put on a mantelpiece.
Sick.
Right? So what we have to understand about this is that these are things that became part of our psyches. Black men, Black women, white women. Because we became a reminder of our what? Our weakness. When Black men look at Black women, it's a reminder of failure. So show me something else. And what happened was during segregation, when we were booming and we were doing well, we could have healed. But we didn't get a chance to heal because they said, we need your money. We don't want you to give to each other. There's so many of you. We can benefit from you. And we would tell you, you know what? We know you have an ice maker. But white men's ice is colder. And we believed it.
And still believe it to this very day, mind you. Understand that. This is why most of the time you can't even hear information from Black people. It has to come from a cave. A lot of Black folks still got that mentality, still got that coon spirit inside of them. We don't even want to take information from each other. It's conspiracy when we say it. Dr. Joy up here, I mean, she's doctor. That's not good enough for Black people, though. We're not convinced unless you a cave. That's that coon shit we be on. We don't trust it unless it's coming from a cave. Or unless a Black person is speaking exactly like the caves. It got the education from the caves and talking just like them. You may trust him then. But even then, you won't trust him more than you trust a cave. We still got that going on right now.
And we stopped patronizing each other's stores because we bought the notion that if it was white, it was better. And we watched our communities crumble. So when did the trauma stop? So then now we have
Let me correct what she said. She said we watched them crumble. We allowed them to crumble. We allowed that. We fucking allowed it. We developed this old, if you can't beat them, join them mentality. We allowed that shit to happen. We chose to not patronize our own businesses. We chose not to protect one another and stay strong. We chose that.
integration, what we never fully integrated. Look around you.
Never fully integrated.
We didn't integrate. And so now when we look at that, we go, well, how can we reinforce though 2004, the images? You all remember the 70s, 60s, and the platform shoes and the, you all remember Superfly, don't you? Coffee. You remember that? Sweet back.
Some of y'all too young for this.
Black exploitation. No, we're going to sell you the image to you. And we bought that too, including all the fashions which they produced that said and reinforced that this is who you are. So they gained wealth as a result of our pathology about who we were. And they showed it to you over and over and over again.
Bars. I'm trying not to keep pausing, y'all, but I mean, good. When you think about that, when you think about what they've been able to do with what they've made our culture, the culture that they present to us, not that we present it to them, they did sell it back to us. And we made them millionaires and even billionaires for being able to do so. I'm going to talk about the coon culture as we have coupled the coon culture with black culture. That's going to be a whole nother live stream I'm going to do, but y'all be looking out for that because I'm going to get into that. Because black culture is synonymous with coon culture and synonymous with us not having pride. But they were allowed to sell us back what they perceived as being our culture. We're all pimps, drug dealers, all our women are prostitutes. They was able to do that to us and we let them.
Because for white people, they can't feel the guilt. And the number one that comes out is, I don't want to feel the guilt, but you know what? Don't take my privilege. And so what we have to understand is we've got to take this chain from around us. We have to do it. Post-traumatic slave syndrome is alive and well. And if we don't get with it and understand what it looks like between us, so now we have a man and a woman and we're integrated. Now we are up there trying to feel good. I look at, in my book, I talk about something called Never Let Them See You Sweat. And you begin to realize that what black people do to black people. You have somebody, I believe this on a spiritual level, by the way, the first example, the first sign of spiritual evolution and development is to delight in the success of your neighbor. Somebody black, now this is on a community level, they say, yeah, they just bought a house over there. That's an expensive area. They bought that house. They ain't gonna keep that house. The only reason why he got the house was because of his, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I started to look at it, the young folks call it hate.
Full-blown hate. Right?
But I'm telling you the truth. It's so pervasive that it's scary. And I want you to look at it from another level, not out there. I want you to look at it up close and personal. What goes on inside of you? And I want you to get with this on an honest level. You don't have to say it to anybody, but I want you to figure out what resonates inside your body when you hear the success of someone else. I started to pay attention to that. It's not jealousy. It's fear. And it's a fear of being abandoned.
Let me tell you, hold on.
And it's what happens
Let me tell y'all, it is in my personal opinion that all these would be jealousy, insecurity. It's all rooted in fear. All of it is. If you hating on somebody because they got something, or that motherfucker think they too good, blah, 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 all this shit. Y'all know, you've heard black people do this before. Well, maybe it's just me. I'll even say, I know I heard it coming up. Oh, they think they better than everybody. Now they got, whatever the fuck they might got. All that shit is rooted in fear. If you ask me, all that shit is.
Single time. Matter of fact, they'll dog you out. And the moment you fall, they're going to pick you up and love you. Because I just didn't want you to leave me. That's really what it was. I want to love you right here. But when you leave me, when you advance, grow, develop, all that stuff, you're going to abandon me. And when you start looking at the superficial ties that had to happen, think about the fact that you have someone you love on a slave plantation. How attached are you going to be to them? Are you going to have to equip yourself emotionally if one day they're gone from you? How much of your heart are you going to let break? It makes sense that I can't love you too much because I have to be okay if you're gone.
Think about that. Hold
It's
on.
a duality of reality that no.
Think about that. Think about that. On a plantation, the kind of detachment you had to develop, because you never knew when even your own child could end up being sold to another plantation or shipped off somewhere. The person you love, your friend. Imagine the emotional set you have to. Again, when we understand what slavery, because a lot of times motherfuckers like to compare it to the Holocaust. And that's fucking bullshit. And we shouldn't allow people to do that ever. Because they will take what happened in a span of less than a decade and compare it to what took place for centuries. Imagine the personality, the detachment you have to develop just so you're not heartbroken every time your kid gets sent away. And I'm sure it still was, I couldn't even imagine it, y'all. I couldn't even imagine it. And again, they wasn't treating slaves for no damn depression or any type of sadness that could occur if you're going to take my child and send them off. My husband, my wife, my friend. How would that affect your psyche? Generation after generation after generation. And this trauma is being passed down because children are being born in plantation. Just think about that, man. We downplay it a lot of times. We just think about the cotton fields and a couple ass whoopers, but man, this shit was deep. It's deep. The type of shell you had to develop in this situation, I couldn't even fathom it.
Human beings should have to deal with it, but we're still dealing with it. Or those of us that don't want to be black, you know, they're the ones that are in here.
She ain't gonna call on that.
All a sign of the self-hatred, the pathology. That ain't during slavery, isn't it? Not right up, you know, don't you?
Right. To this very day.
Yeah, I have a lot of Indians.
Y'all know them niggas. I got Indian in my family.
You know, so there's that sense, and what we have to understand about that is that pathology moves along. So what do we get reminded of? Now, 2004, you got two people that went to school, they did the right stuff, they got the little degrees. They, put the little down payment on the house, and all of a sudden they're living paycheck to paycheck, like everybody else in America is. And they're looking at each other and saying, why can't you be this thing? Well, because white people told us that, now that we're all free, and now that we're all, everything's equal, you should have the 2 cars in the garage and the whole little spread. White people don't have that.
Bars.
But we brought it, and guess who we punished when we couldn't have it? We punished each other. Because she looks at him and says, once again, why can't you protect me? Why can't you make my world safe for me? You're the man.
Y'all hearing this? Y'all pay attention. I'm gonna go back a little bit. Because she digging into the pathology, man. Look at what we did to uphold European standards that they don't even uphold themselves. Good Lord.
Why can't you make my world safe for me? You're the man. And so he looks for someone that doesn't question that.
Running to the caves. She talking about running. She doesn't say it, but she talking about motherfuckers running to the goddamn caves. He looks for someone who don't question that. That means he running to the motherfucking caves. Somebody that's not gonna require that of him. Running to the motherfucking caves. That's some coon ass shit. But again, to me, this is very important because, like I say, to understand one another, we don't have empathy or understanding of one another. And we really, really, really need to work on that because we're watching it deteriorate right in front of our eyes.
And so we have to begin to understand that pathology of what we remind each other of, just like that little boy that saw my son and said, what you looking at? It's the same thing. We do it on an adult level. What you looking at? Same thing. You think you all that. All of those things are symptoms of a feeling or a degree of dislike for oneself that is more destructive than a war. And it continues. the good hair, the bad hair, all of the things. It's all in the videos, the same stuff. It's over and over and over again.
2004, yeah.
People want their children to pick someone else. They want out of the race. I don't want to look at this black face anymore.
Hold on.
Because surely that is the biggest problem there is. Meanwhile,
a lot of these brothers and sisters out here that may be of darker complexion, they'll lay in a cave just to have a light-skinned baby. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? You'll hear some of them that will say they don't want a baby as dark as even they are. That's self-hate full-blown. Now, these caves don't mind if you're a fucking self-hater. Matter of fact, they prefer it if you're a self-hater. Because they know that's the only way you're going to lay with them anyway. This is if you are a self-hater. You'll have dark-skinned peoples that will go lay in the caves just to have a light-skinned baby.
Everybody in the world is running, trying to find tens. They're locking their hair.
Right.
They're trying to manufacture booties.
Good Lord. Now, I wouldn't be doing
Getting collagen in the lips. Trying to figure out every kind of safe tan there could be. And until they say you're okay and you're beautiful, we don't believe we are. For some reason, J-Lo just gave us permission to have booties. Now it's okay to have one. And I mean that seriously. Those are the things that we have to look at to become part of our pathology, and our children are watching us.
Our children
are watching us. So one of the things that I try to do with the work is
like
not to look at it from a purely philosophical level, but to say, what does it look like up close and personal with a black man and a black woman? I'm married to a black man. I love that black man. And I understand where he is fragile. And I understand what it means to be strong enough to say, I need you. Or I am afraid. And one of the things that we have to understand about what manhood is, because it took me a long time to understand how fragile we all are. Black women fight with their mouths. They fight verbally. No, that's the truth.
Is this truth or not? Let me see. Is that truth or not? She said black women fight verbally. Is those bars or not?
That's the truth. We can back somebody up off us in a hot second.
Real quick.
And it's something that we had to equip ourselves with in order to survive. We would back the white women off. We would back the white men off. We backed everybody off when we needed to. We knew how to do that. We could take them apart. And if it had to go to the next level, we could do that too. Right?
Let's go. And see, a lot of times when we're dealing with this so-called angry black woman and she's saying all types of wild shit, we got to understand, again, this is why I think black people need each other, because can't nobody understand us but us. Understand what our women, what they went through, what they've been through and still going through a lot of times, even to this very day. They have to develop these defense mechanisms to get motherfuckers up off them. Because, I mean, you think about the fact that, I mean, hell, like I say, even to this day, a black woman could just be raped. I mean, it wasn't even against the law. It wasn't even against the law. They develop these defense mechanisms. And sometimes you get swept up right in there with everybody else. These are facts, man. Again, I'm trying to let this thing finish playing through. I am. I'm gonna stop pausing.
But one of the things that happened though with that defense that we developed that time, because I want you to think about this. And I talk often about those words that we say. You know? I know people in families that were treated, Oprah talked about not being treated well because of the color of skin, knowing which child was favored over the other because they were fairer or whatever. We know what words do right now. The thing that you can bring it up in your body right now. Somebody said it. It could have been 20 years ago, and it hurts right now. Words in some ways much worse than a sword, because a sword will cut you, but it will heal. We can't heal from some of those words, and we can't get them back. So when you have a black mother saying to a black son, because she's raising him by herself,
she shouldn't be
most of the time, because when he looks at her, she reminds him of his lack of manhood.
God damn, I said I wasn't gonna keep pausing. She shouldn't be. I just wanted to make that clear. She should not be. Let me just make that clear. And look what happens. Let me rewind it just a little bit. Look what happens because of that sometimes.
First, she reminds him of his lack of manhood.
A lot of these dudes have mommy issues.
And she said to her black son, you get your black ass in here and wash these dishes.
How many of y'all had mamas like that?
Think about that. He's standing in front of his friend when you said that to him. And he loves you and he hates you all at once. But you're tired because you've been working 16 hours and the garbage is spilling over and the dishes are all over the place. I understand it. So how is it that we don't flee from each other? Because that's what we do. We flee from each other.
Doing it right now.
But what we need to know is it okay for me to be vulnerable with you? Are you going to take this vulnerability that I give to you and are you going to beat me up with it?
Listen.
I need to know that it's going to be safe for me to say that I'm really worried about what's going on at work right now.
Listen.
But I don't think I can kiss any white people's behinds any longer. But I know that I am the man and I need to take care of you. Is it okay for me to tell you that?
Well, let me tell y'all something.
And I think that those are the things.
Black men, you don't need to be kissing white ass anyway. Let me just say that. And this is one of those things, man, like I be talking about this, us taking this frustration out on each other. It's not your woman's fault that you at work kissing ass. No, you can't take that out on your woman. You can't take that out on your kids. Because we look back throughout history, a lot of black fathers would take their frustration out on their families, would come to the haven and take their frustration out. That's not your family's fault. That's not your woman's fault. You shouldn't be kissing white ass anyway. That's what we think we have to do. We don't have to do that. We don't have to exist that way. Find your power. I'm gonna let it finish out.
But we flee from each other. We flee from each other.
We flee from each other.
And it's amazing. I look at black people as a salt of the earth. Salt of the earth. So post-traumatic slave syndrome is transmitted generationally. It can be healed generationally. It needs to be a community forum that says no longer, just like we give that death stare, we have everybody's back. We have to stop. Like I have to stop sometimes the children in the street and tell them what we believe and who we are. All of us need to do that. And when someone tells you, gosh, that girl is so bright, we don't want to say, yeah, that girl, but she's a mess. And she's so fast, too. No, we need to say, you know what? She is a gift to me. She's beautiful. Collectively, we need to do that. So the healing happens when we are willing to love ourselves beyond how much we've hated ourselves. We have to begin to use the right words, to say the right things, to believe it in our hearts, and to make it evident in our actions. This cannot be something that's lip service. It's not going to happen. White people aren't going to tell you. Matter of fact, they're going to tell you, oh, you don't need to hear any of this. They'll say, oh, none of that's true. Just make enough money.
That's exactly what they do with critical race theory. Think about that. I'm going to rewind it a little bit so y'all can hear that. That's exactly what they do. You don't need to hear none of that. You don't need that. And you have too many black folk that'll say the same damn thing. Listen to this.
Our hearts, and to make it evident in our actions. This cannot be something that's lip service. It's not going to happen. White people aren't going to tell you. Matter of fact, they're going to tell you, oh, you don't need to hear any of this. They'll say, oh, none of that's true. Just make enough money, you'll be fine.
Capitalism.
And I'll end with this. You know, one of the things that I said is because Randall Robinson talked a lot, because I know I Randall quit. That
was, hold on, y'all. Let me get it back right here. Listen, I wanted to show y'all that. Let me come out of this screen real quick. Let me come out of this screen real quick. I wanted to show y'all that because I wanted y'all to understand a couple things about this. First of all, this is happening in 2004. Okay. 2004 is when and we're watching these same things. And she said black men and women flee each other. That's what we do. That's our answer, is to flee each other. That's why you have so many motherfuckers running to the caves. So many of us are talking about turning our backs on each other. Fuck him, fuck her. This is where this rhetoric is coming from. She was saying this in 2004, so they've been doing it. It's not new, y'all. The only thing that's changed is the technology has changed. So now people can get their voices out here. People can share their coon-ass opinions all over the motherfucking place. But this is something that's been happening generation after generation. And just like she said, our children are watching us. And because they see us being dysfunctional as we are, as cooned out as we are, they are going to pass it down. We're going to pass it down to them. They're going to pass it down to their children. Because the one generational curse that we never talk about at all, ever, is cooning. And I'm going to make it an issue over here on this channel. Y'all going to hear that's going to be a reoccurring theme. That's the generational curse we don't want to break. We think it's all about money. We think everything is about money. Just like she said, white man, his mom gonna tell you to go get this money. And you hear a lot of us talking about chasing bags, getting bags, securing bags. We've become exactly what they want us to become. Because they know we're not gonna take our money and go buy no land. As much shopping as we do, we don't even invest in those shopping malls. Caves own all the shopping malls, but we do all the goddamn shopping. They know this. Chase bags, you elevate yourself over your people, you calling people broke and making fun of people that may be in dire financial situations. This is what black people do. I grew up like this. This is the shit we passing down. Everything's about money. Everything's about fashion. Everything's about vanity. And then the black man and woman are at war with each other when we know who we should be at war with. This is what we're talking about over here. That may not be a conversation that people want to engage in, may not be a conversation people want to have. But we must have that conversation. Because Dr. Joy, she won't get up there and tell black people that they fucking coons. But I will. I'll carry that work on for her. Because all she's doing is describing self-hate, which ain't nothing but fucking cooning. And that's what we engage in at all times. It's constant. It's never ending. Earlier, I asked if some of y'all would change your character to make white folk comfortable at some point in your life. We got black folk that's still doing that to this very day. We think we rebelling against the system and against the norms by twerking. Talking hard. Being able to buy Gucci belts and put them on our fucking 4 or 5 month old child. Can't even walk yet. They got Gucci shoes on. Gucci onesies. We think this is power. We believe this is power. We believe this is rebelling. I'm going to show these motherfuckers I can spend money just as much as they do. Some of you may have seen this. I can't think of the year. Maybe it was 72. It's called The Selling to the Negro. I think that's the title of it. Or Selling to the Negro or something to that effect. They've been studying the fuck out of us while we out here playing. And we're not paying attention to it. We're so caught up in celebrity gossip and, gender warring. And this is what consumes us now. We've defeated ourselves from our lack of focus. We believe the white man and his mama know the way. They are the foundation. Their family is the structure. We be talking about the black family structure when it ain't nothing but the white family structure in blackface. That's what we did to ourselves. They didn't make us do it. We chose it. Most of the things that we claim is black, it ain't black. It's blackface. That's what we did. And we're going to have to correct it or we're done. And oftentimes I get to these points where, you know, I feel like it's a waste of time. But like I said, women and even, you know, orators, educators, lecturers like Joy, Dr. Joy, I can tell they love Black people. I can tell they want to see us do better. That's why I listen to her. I can tell that. That's why I will pay her some attention. And I'll be doing these videos because, again, I want to introduce younger people to some of these great people that are, you know, fading away. They think that the Black community, even the so-called woke niggas, the only way you can be woke right now is to say fuck the Black man. The only way you can be woke right now is to say fuck the Black woman. When we've had great lecturers like her come through and ain't nobody pay her no fucking attention. She done wrote the books and everything. And y'all know I'll be on Black folk over here about this. They done wrote the books and everything. We just don't care. We don't know where to look. So I'll be doing these sometimes. I'm going to get lectures on here. We're going to watch them together. Again, this ain't for y'all old grown folk. We know y'all know everything already. Y'all swear ain't nobody ever cooning ever. So this is for young people who may have not known anything about these people. We've had people trying to tell us for generations, and we've ignored every single fucking one of them. And now here we are, where we have the ability to make the videos, put the media out, and we spend all our time chasing it behind some celebrity, wondering who they fucking this week, and hating each other. These people that we watching, a lot of them, especially from even older times in 2004, they didn't have this ability. We're squandering it. That's what I see us doing with it. We're squandering it, chasing bags, just like the white man and his mama want us to. Understand that. But I want this to be an introduction to young people. It's important. I didn't even know she existed when I was coming up. Didn't know anything about her. And I'm hoping, like I say, y'all swear y'all want to break generational curses. Just sad it's just all about money. But that knowledge, getting that knowledge young, changing who our kids look up to, who they listen to, who they seek a good word from. It's young kids right now that think Cardi B is a political and social leader of some kind. That's because they don't know Joy. That's because they don't know Cress Wilson. They don't know these doctors that we had. They don't know John Henry Clark. They don't know Dr. Amos Wilson. They don't know. So they think Cardi is the voice. That's what we allow. White man and his mama didn't do that to us. That's what we allow. I hope y'all appreciate this video, or this, you know, us viewing this together. If you haven't already, please hit that like button to get me up here in the algorithm. Y'all know how it is. If you want the full video, what I'll do is I'll put that link up. That way you'll have it. That way you can access the full video. She has many other great lectures. That post-traumatic slave syndrome, I mean, the lectures she gives are, I mean, she go through history and everything. It's all comprehensive. She speaks plainly. She speaks plainly. She adds humor in there. So, I mean, she's a great speaker, but our kids don't even know nothing about her. And we got to show them. We have to show them. That's our responsibility, not the white man and his mama. It don't matter if they don't want to do critical race theory. I'm going to get into that when I talk about this fucking governor too, but that's work we should be doing. You sitting your kids down in front of Real Housewives of wherever the fuck. Set them down in front of a lecture from a great teacher and break it down with them. Let them know what's going on. Show them the parallels between current day and what's happened to our people. What's happening to our people. But y'all, I'm about to get the fuck out of here. Again, y'all, like, share, subscribe. Links to follow me everywhere in the description box. We will be doing these. I think these are very important. And this may not be the only one I do from Dr. Joy. She has so many great lectures. But I do want to introduce our kids to these people. All right. So y'all hit that button, follow me everywhere, send me emails if you want to contact me. If you have any questions, any content requests or anything like that, something you may want me to review, shoot me an email. That link's in the description box. Y'all follow me everywhere. Facebook has me blocked right now. If you are following me on Facebook and you wonder why I haven't posted, I think I got about 10 more days on this bid. I done made a shake. I got the phone books on my taped around my ribs and shit. I'm in the yard doing push-ups and shit. They got me in the yard doing push-ups and shit. So I'm just getting stronger. These motherfuckers think they can hold me back. But understand, y'all, this shit is real and we need to change our mentalities. Y'all see the picture up here that I got? That's the mission I'm on. I'm trying to run out and kill the coon that's in Black people. And we have to make that a priority, because without killing that coon within us, nothing else is going to be done, because we don't have a foundation to stand on. Without that, we don't have a foundation. So we have to be in the same place mentally to have that foundation. Mad love. Shout out to Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. Black first, second, and third. I'm out.